Hi there, welcome. This is Shruti, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how I make over 100K a year with this side hustle that I started not so long ago, and the exact strategies that you need to follow if you want to do the same. But before we dive in, make sure to hit like and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. And with that, let's dive in. The side hustle that I want to talk to you today about is all about selling digital products. Now, a lot of you who are familiar with me know that I am a blogger. I'm also on YouTube. I do a lot of content on Pinterest and TikTok and all of these different social platforms. But predominantly, what my business is about is selling digital products or products that can be consumed from anywhere in the world. And how I really got started with this is when I was trying to monetize my travel blog a couple of years back, and I had no idea that, making money online was even a thing. That's when I kind of just put together a small ebook. I believe it was like 50 pages or so of my favorite itineraries and budget planning trips, since this was a travel blog, and I put that together and I sold it for, I guess, $10. And I had a really tiny email list, which is a group of people that have subscribed to your newsletter, and I think it was about 200 or 300 people. I ended up making about $300 that weekend from this tiny group of email list, and that's when I had this light bulb moment, which was like, oh my god, it is possible to actually make money online selling such types of products. Ever since that moment, I've sold products like ebooks, templates, courses, workbooks, cheat sheets, and even things like spreadsheets. But one thing that has been common through all of my journey is that I've sold them under my own personal brand. Now, you might have, come across people who do this, for example, on Etsy, or who would do this on a different marketplace like Amazon. There are really so many different marketplaces where you can go and offer your products, especially if you are a creative, let's say designer or photographer who wants to kind of share your creative products. You can absolutely do it via the marketplace route. However, personally, I was a bigger fan of creating content and driving traffic and giving value to my audience before, offering a product to be purchased, which is why I focused on creating my own personal brand. Now, there are a couple of things that have helped me a lot on this journey, and some of them are what I want to share with you in this video today, in the hope that you can also use the side hustle to, get started and start making money online. So the first success tip that I want to share with you when it comes to monetizing this side hustle is having clarity about your audience. Now, I will be the first person to admit that you can't just identify your niche in like the first week of starting your business or your side hustle. It does take a little bit of time for you to kind of hone in and refine who it is that you're going to serve and in what way you're going to serve them, right? So you have to have an idea of who your audience is before you kind of dive into creating and selling products. Now, if I had tried to serve everyone and if I had to try to create products which were about everything, I don't think I would have been successful. And if you've been following me since the beginning of this YouTube channel and since the beginning of my latest side hustle, you would know that the very first product that I launched was a Pinterest course, which was launched to a really tiny audience at the time because I was kind of just starting out in this niche. I had no idea what exactly my future would look like, but I knew that the niche that I wanted to be in was going to be digital marketing or online marketing, right? So things like content, social media, blogging, all of this falls under the umbrella of digital marketing. So even though it was a really broad niche, I knew that this was a niche that spoke the most to me, and this was the niche that I was really passionate about and wanted to share with my audience. And so I knew that my business, specifically digital products that I would sell, would have to be under this broad umbrella category. If you were just starting out and you have no idea where to begin, I would urge you to focus on 1 to 2 things that A, you're really passionate about, and B, are monetizable. Now, what I mean by being monetizable is that number 1, there is a demand for these products. So there are people actively searching online for these products. And number 2, people are willing to pay in this niche. So you don't want to target an audience or an industry where people don't have any disposable income, such as if you target, for example, kids who are going to, middle school, maybe they don't really have disposable income in order to buy your product. It's not just enough to be passionate about your audience or your niche, but you also need to understand whether or not there is money and there's the potential for you to monetize this niche. So is the audience that you're targeting worth targeting, or maybe you need to look at it from a different perspective? When I first started Digital Empires, I knew that my audience was going to be either solopreneurs or side hustlers or small business owners who were looking to leverage social media and content marketing to build their brand. And I didn't know the exact products that I would be selling looking back, in hindsight, but I did know that these are the types of people that I wanted to serve. So I wasn't going after working moms. I wasn't going after college kids. I wasn't going after lawyers or doctors. You have to figure out what it is that speaks the most to you and which niche do you feel you will do the most justice in. Now, one of the things that held me back a lot, and maybe this is holding you back as well, was thinking maybe I'm not qualified to talk about this because I don't have a degree in social media marketing, or I haven't had a business for a decade, and so I can't justify selling products in this niche. Well, the truth is, most people who are selling anything, even entrepreneurs who are selling an amazing product, weren't experts in this product before they started. They all started at a certain point and got to learn and then improved that product over time. So all that matters is that you're a couple of steps ahead of your audience and you're able to show them a solution that, maybe you came up with either through your own struggle or that you learned in school or in your working experience. It doesn't matter how you learned it, whether you learned it as a hobby in school or at your workplace. What matters is that you can save people time and money with your solution. So you want to be looking at creating products that are going to either help solve a critical problem for people or are going to give people something they desire. So for example, if you're a financial expert, maybe you can create a product around how to save your first $10,000 in your emergency fund. Now, that might not necessarily be a problem, but that might be an active desire for certain people of a specific audience. And once you learn how to serve that audience is how you'll be able to monetize and make money from selling that product. The second success tip that I want to share with you, and I think this is so critical for your long-term success, is to own your audience. Now, you may have discovered me on YouTube or on Instagram or on Pinterest or on TikTok. Doesn't matter how you found this channel and how you are here where you are today, but chances are, unless you are in my inner world, which I would like to say is my email list and where my most engaged followers and fans are, it would be really hard for me to see you again or to connect with you again. So if you decide not to subscribe to my channel right now, what are the odds that we will cross paths again, right? And this is why owning your audience in today's world of social media is so important. When your audience is predominantly on social media, what happens when that channel gets taken away from you? This has happened to so many, creators who have had large audiences, let's say on YouTube or on Instagram, and then they got hacked or their account got deleted or they got suspended because of some, guidelines that weren't followed. There's so many ways that your audience can be taken away from you. So I am a huge believer in the fact that you should absolutely have a way to connect with your audience besides social media and besides where you usually show up. And that's why my focus since day one was on building my email list. And now we have close to, I think, 13,000 people on my email list, which is 13,000 people who I can directly get into the inbox with and have a conversation and begin a chat with. And I don't need to go on any social media platform to make that happen. And it's also a much more deeper way of building a connection and a relationship with my audience, simply because I'm one person who can't be everywhere all the time. I don't have a large content production team like Gary Vee or one of the bigger creators where, you have 10 people on social media at all times. So there's only one of me to go around, and I really like to preserve my time and energy for my most loyal audience. And I think my most loyal audience tends to be the people that are in my email list that I've been engaging and nurturing for the last couple of years. So one of the things I highly recommend you do, specifically if you're starting out, even if it is, on a market-based platform, is to find a way to connect with your audience by creating your email list and really building that in order to nurture your relationship. So instead of just selling a one-off product on Etsy, which, people will buy and forget who they bought it from and maybe never come back to your shop again, this way you get to stay in touch with your audience. And in future, maybe they're not ready for something you're selling right now, but in future, if you have an offer or a product or, whatever it is that you're selling that might connect with them and that might be in their budget and that might be the right time for them to take action, they're much more likely to do it if they, follow you on your email list and you're a part of their weekly updates instead of, someone who just saw you once on social media and forgot all about you. Tip number 3 that I want to share with you is to test. Now, I cannot tell you how many products I've launched that have absolutely flopped and have made no sales or made really low sales or where the feedback wasn't as great as I was hoping that it would be. But I didn't let that, keep me from launching new products, because as anyone who's been doing side hustles will tell you, you probably won't strike gold in your first try. You have to keep testing and refining and testing again and again. In fact, the first time that I launched my course, I think I just made like 2 sales, and the same course has now enrolled hundreds and hundreds of people. We've had over 1,000 sales in the last 2.5 years that I have had this business. And I have to say that it would have not been possible if I gave up, put my hands up too early after a couple of months and said, hey, that's not going to happen. Just for some perspective, the first year that I was doing this side hustle, I think I made less than $1,000 a month from my digital product side. I was still monetizing with other things like ads and affiliates and things like that with my blog, but my core business, which was my core focus at the time, was generating less than $1,000, and I live in Germany, so I don't know about you, but that wouldn't have been enough for me to sustain my lifestyle, let alone, plan any business investment or expand in any way. Fast forward to now, we are now a six-figure business, and it's really crazy to think that if I had given up in the first 1 year or even in the second year when things were not as rosy or as amazing or going as quickly as I wanted them to go, I would not have been where I am today. So I would not have been able to build this audience across different platforms. I wouldn't have been able to, have all the opportunities that I've had. And I'm so grateful for the fact that I, told myself to kind of stick it up and to push through even in those moments which were really dark and, seemingly had no end. So what I want to tell you here is that just because you're trying out a new side hustle, don't just give up too early and stop testing, because chances are that your first product that you create, it's probably not going to be a hit and it's not going to sell 100 copies at the first go, but it's absolutely possible for you if you keep going and figuring out ways to improve your skills and to improve the way that you sell. Now, this is not to say that you should, keep trying even if you don't see success for 10 years, because I have to say that there are certain side hustles which are better suited for certain people. And for me, this was a side hustle that was better suited because I was someone who enjoyed creating content and I wanted to build my own personal brand. But if you're someone who, for example, doesn't like to be too much in front of the camera, or you're someone who doesn't want to show up on social media, maybe there might be other side hustles which make more sense for you. So maybe you want to focus on creating a blog which is, heavily dependent on advertising and affiliate marketing, where you don't have to necessarily show your face and you can just grow everything behind the scenes. So you can be behind the scenes and you can still be making money. And having done those side hustles, and I still do them in part because I also have blogs that are monetized with these side hustles, I have to say it really does come down to your personal choice and the phase that you're in your life. I was not necessarily comfortable being on camera or being on social media a couple of years ago. So I started this YouTube channel at the beginning of 2020, and I don't think that anytime before that I was nearly ready enough to do it. So I pushed myself to move forward and do it. And it was definitely one of the best decisions that I've taken to sort of connect with my audience and really build my personal brand. However, if I was not someone who, could get over that, then I would really look at other side hustles that are more suited. One of the things that you have to understand is also your limitations and your energy and how much time you have to commit to your side hustle. Selling digital products, in my opinion, is one of the most low cost ways and one of the most incredibly safe ways to make money online, because you don't have to have a huge ads budget like you would, for example, for drop shipping. You don't have to wait for 2 years until your blog starts to rank with Google so you can make enough conversions to feed your family. Like, you really can get things moving much quicker, and that is the biggest reason why I absolutely love selling digital products, whether it is through my YouTube channel, through my blog, through Pinterest, or through any other platform that I use. Now, what is also important here to remember is that while one platform works for one person, it doesn't mean that it will work for you as well. I was of the opinion that, if I just stuck to my blog and I was only using my blog as my marketing channel, that would be great. But what I realized was that different people like to learn in a different way. There's some people who like listening to podcasts, there's some people who like watching videos, there's some people who like reading blog posts. And I wanted my audience to feel comfortable enough to invest in me and my product by, having that reach where I was able to meet them in more than one format. So I made this decision fairly early on. And again, this was also a test, which thankfully paid off. And the test was to see if, the video format would suit my audience. And what I found out was that I was able to connect with my audience much deeper and much quicker using video as well as my blog than just using my blog alone. So you also might want to be open to, doing these tests and figuring out where your audience is and the sources with which you can drive traffic to your business by testing out different things. So when it comes to testing and repeating and refining the process, you want to include yourself in that process as well, and not just think objectively in terms of numbers and in terms of sales, but also think, where am I comfortable showing up and where do I need to push myself in order to, do a better job to connect with my audience? Because I truly believe that when it comes to selling digital products, people who create a lot of value and who actually solve a specific problem are going to be the long-term winners, because, your audience is not dumb. They are not going to buy products that don't solve problems or that are just fluff or are trying to sell something scammy which doesn't really add any value to their lives. So you want to be making sure that you are coming across as someone who is also providing value, but you're also focusing on creating products that are outstanding and that are going to get you the best reviews and the best testimonials, because that really speaks for the business that you're building. Specifically, if you are creating your own personal brand, because you definitely want people to have a positive takeaway from your brand and to love the products that you are creating, because if they love one product, chances are they're going to buy more products from you in the future, and that's how you're going to grow your business and have repeat customers. So I hope this video was helpful for you in understanding what got me to this point and how I was able to build a six-figure side hustle. If you're interested in learning the step-by-step strategy of how I, launch my digital products, then make sure to check out the video that's going to be linked somewhere on this page. It's my step-by-step digital product strategy. I also have a free checklist that you can grab in the box below. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.